It's funny. Have you ever noticed how incredibly easy it is to build a basic AI prototype right on your laptop? But then how absolutely painful it is to actually get that same AI running as a secure, scalable product in the real world? Honestly, it's the biggest bottleneck in AI right now. You write this clever script, it works perfectly that one time on your machine, but the second you try moving it to an enterprise grade environment, it is just a massive migraine inducing headache. Well, welcome to this explainer, because today we're going to completely demystify that entire process using a really phenomenal open source resource.
Okay, let's dive into this. 20,700. That is a massive number, right? And it actually represents the hard-earned credibility of the Near Diamond's Agents Towards Production repository on GitHub. Over 20,000 developers have starred this project, essentially recognizing it as the absolute gold standard for navigating the really complex maze of AI deployment. So we're not talking about just another theoretical paper here. This is a battle-tested resource.
And that really brings us to the repository's core mission statement, the open source playbook for turning AI agents into real-world products. If you have been struggling with the headache of productionizing your AI systems, consider this explainer your ultimate cure. We're going to break down exactly how this playbook works and how you can put it to use. So here is our game plan for today. 1. From prototype to production. 2. The core agent architecture. 3. Adding memory and tools. 4. Scaling up and deploying. And 5. Securing the AI system. All right, let's kick things off with section 1, from prototype to production, graduating your AI.
Let's really think about the difference between a standard prototype and a production agent. A prototype is usually just a simple script running locally with stateless interactions. Basically, once the chat is over, the AI essentially has total amnesia. It's easy to build, but it's super fragile. On the flip side, we have the reality of production agents. To actually survive in the enterprise, your agent needs stateful workflows. It needs persistent vector memory so it can remember users, and it absolutely requires comprehensive observability so you can debug it when things inevitably go wrong. This explainer is exclusively about getting you to that production level.
And the way you get there is through practice. An overwhelming 93.7% of the repository's content is actually built in Jupyter notebooks. It features 28 different production-grade tutorials, and almost all of them are hands-on, runnable code. This isn't high-level theory where you're just left guessing how to build the thing. This is practical code you can run, tweak, and use today. Moving right along to section 2, the core agent architecture, foundational blocks. You can think of building this architecture as a methodical lifecycle. In your very first phase, you're prototyping the core framework. Then you progress to adding stateful workflows and memory. And finally, you reach the mature phases of security and production deployment. By methodically following this progressive journey up the tech stack, you basically transform a basic prompt into a highly reliable system. Now, to actually make that journey, you need some seriously robust logic. The repository provides a massive volume of open source resources for these core capabilities. For example, it teaches you exactly how to build enterprise-grade RAG, that's retrieval augmented generation systems, in just 15 minutes using contextual AI. It covers multi-agent communication via the A-to-A protocol, meaning your agents can actually collaborate, and it shows you how to design complex, stateful workflows using LangGraph. These are the exact frameworks that professionals are using right now to give their agents a brain. Which brings us to section 3, adding memory and tools. Agent interactions. So a brain really isn't much use if it can't interact with its environment, right? The crucial point here is something called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP for short. MCP is a standardized protocol that seamlessly integrates your AI agents with external tools and APIs. Think of it as the essential bridge. Whether you need your agent to perform real-time web searches, pull client data from a CRM, or shoot a message into Slack, MCP provides the standard structure to make all of those advanced workflows happen, and happen securely. Now, alongside those tools, your agent needs memory. Imagine an AI that actually learns from every single conversation you have with it. The repository teaches how to do this through 2 really fascinating approaches. First, using Redis, it shows you how to give an agent dual memory, so both short-term and long-term, meaning it never forgets user preferences. Second, it explores Mem0, which provides a self-improving hybrid architecture. Mem0 actually combines vector storage for semantic recall with graph databases for mapping out relationships. This allows the agent to automatically extract insights and resolve conflicting information over time. It is incredibly powerful stuff. But here's the real million-dollar question. Once you've got this brilliant, memory-enabled, tool-using agent running flawlessly on your laptop, How on earth do you take it out of that local environment and actually scale it for the enterprise? That brings us perfectly to Section 4, Scaling Up and Deploying, Enterprise Readiness. And the repository brilliantly illustrates exactly how to tackle those scaling challenges by directly mapping abstract production requirements to specific tools. It just removes all the guesswork. If you need GPU deployment for heavy workloads, it teaches you RunPod. If you need tracing and debugging to meticulously monitor your agent's performance, it shows you how to integrate Langsmith. It literally takes the headache out of choosing the right infrastructure for your stack. Plus, it completely gets that every enterprise has totally different needs, so it highlights diverse deployment paths. You can dive into AWS Bedrock Agent Core if you're looking for managed services with automatic infrastructure. If you prefer portability, it teaches foundational patterns for containerizing your agents with Docker. Or if you have super strict data privacy requirements, it shows you how to use a Llama for completely on-prem, local LLM deployment. The application to your specific cloud preference is direct, clear, and actionable. Finally, we reach Section 5, Securing the AI System, Locking Down Your Agent. This is arguably the most critical layer of the whole stack. The repository provides really comprehensive tutorials on locking down your agent. It covers securing both your inputs and your outputs using Llama Firewall to ensure proper behavior alignment and strict tool access control. It also guides you through hands-on prompt injection evaluation using Apex, so you can actively test and break your own defenses. Now, just as the repository neutrally points out in its own disclaimer, deploying these kinds of powerful security tools obviously requires ethical use, proper authorization, and strict legal compliance. Because at the end of the day, these are professional tools meant for professional environments.
Now, what's really interesting about getting started with all of this is, honestly, just how simple it is. Despite the massive complexity of everything we've just covered, the setup is remarkably straightforward. Step 1, get the code. Step 2, install the dependencies for your target tutorial. Step 3, deploy and test. You can literally clone this repository and start building this runnable code right now, today.
So we've covered the architecture, the memory, the deployment, and the security. You now have the ultimate open source playbook for production AI right at your fingertips. The tools are there, the tutorials are written, and the path from prototype to enterprise is completely mapped out for you. So the only question left to ask is, what real-world product are you going to build next?